Hey, what's up, everyone? David Young here, host of the Drone to 1K podcast. Welcome to season 4, episode 3. I'm talking a little bit more softly today. I'm actually shooting this in my hotel from Savannah, Georgia. I'm on my way up to the mountains right now with my family and needed to whip up a quick intro and also the outro for this episode. So I'm here in the hotel lobby trying not to be too loud, find a quiet place. But anyways, today on the podcast we have James Grace from JMG Aerial Productions. Very excited to bring this conversation with James to you. I've gotten to know James a little bit. He was a member of our Drone to 1K course, now called Drone Business Mastery. James is going to walk us through how he went from a career working in sort of the film production process for Sony to transitioning to his own business where he had his own clients, doing different things from drone cinematography to construction clients. He's going to talk us through how he built his business, what helped him along the way. He's got some really great advice. He is from California. I know there's a lot of drone pilots in California, so if you're in California and you're wondering, hey, how do I get business, or how do I go about getting leads, James got some great advice on LinkedIn and other strategies, so I'm excited to dive into this episode with you today. Also, just a few reminders, if you want to leave us a review, we love sending out t-shirts to people who take the time to leave us a review, good or bad. We just want to say thanks for the time. So hopefully if you're enjoying this, you'll leave a 5-star review and give us some thoughts on it. If you do that, take a screenshot of your review and email it to me and George, David at DroneLaunchAcademy.com, and George or Jorge, Jorge at DroneLaunchAcademy.com. With the review and your info, and we'll get you a t-shirt to say thanks. Also, we have some podcast discounts from some of our courses. So if you just use the promo code podcast on some of our courses, most of the $49 courses actually get discounted down to $1 if you use that podcast promo code as sort of like a secret promo. So feel free to give that a shot if you want, like Drones 101, Mavic Mini 101, or Mini 2 Mastery for only $1. Also, you know, we're wrapping up right now, or in the middle of our mapping course. We're doing a live 6-week course. I do drone mapping with Root Patel. I mentioned that before, so we'll hopefully be offering that course sometime to the greater public in the fall, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I just want to say thanks everybody for listening. Always enjoy doing these. Sorry that this video portion is a little bit weirder since I'm in a hotel lobby shooting this, but I wanted to get this out there to make sure we got everything done on time for you and you could enjoy the podcast. If you think you would make a good podcast guest, or you know someone who would, basically you just need to be making $1,000 a month or more with a drone service business, we'd love to have you on. Shoot me an email, David at DroneLaunchAcademy.com, and we'll try to get you on. We already have some more people coming up on season 4 who just listened to the podcast and put into practice what they learned, and got businesses that were making $1,000 or more per month, and we got them on the show. So if that's you, let us know. We'd love to feature you. But otherwise, take care. Really appreciate you all. Have a good one. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Drone to 1K podcast, season 4 now. I'm here with James Grace. I've gotten to know James a little bit over the last few months, which has been fun. He's in some of our courses, and I've gotten to know you through our Drone to 1K student calls and stuff. So it's been fun. Glad you're on the podcast finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity, and you know, it's always good to learn from other people on Drone to 1K. You know, hearing their other stories and giving advice. You know, from what I've done over the last year and a half or so since I've been in business.
Cool. All right. Well, I know some of your background and your story, but obviously people that are listening know nothing about you unless for some reason they're in the course with you or something else. But why don't you give us a background, kind of go back how you got started in the world of, I know you have a pretty good background in video stuff, but so take us all the way back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So just starting off on the drone side, I've been flying for like 3.5 years now. But yeah, I worked at Warner Brothers and Sony Pictures for 20 years, Warner Brothers for the first 4 and then Sony Pictures. And then I was let go in November of 18. So at first I did a couple interviews, and then I was like, how can I make my own money?
Right.
And so I'm like, I've been flying a drone. I've seen real estate photos, images, stuff like that. I'm like, how can I jump into that? So I jumped in with both feet. Luckily I got a good package when I left Sony, and um, I could take my time getting started. So about a year and a half later now, I'm making pretty decent money, definitely living off of it, and it's been great. And then so yeah, just I was in post production for Sony Pictures, so the whole editorial side, sure, I hired the editors, but I saw them working every day and what they do in their processes. So I had a jump start on that side of it. So it's been really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for this, you were almost most people choose to kind of gradually ease in or they'll do it as a side project, but for you, it's kind of hey, you kind of well, you were forced to make that decision, but
Yeah. So when I was let go, I was like, I did a couple of interviews, Netflix stuff like that, but I was like, wait, how can I make my own money and be my own boss?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's
Well,
been, yeah. So I jumped in with both feet, and I have another side. I also trade stock market stuff.
mhm.
So I went right after that. I went back to school for options trading. So I dabble in that a little bit. It's getting a little bit better, but this is my main focus is
Nice.
drone pilot.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I'm sure that background, at least, working with big production studios and things, helped you, like you said, helped you understand the flow of things. But did you find that when you went to go get clients that helped you with credibility and stuff, having that background, or did it not really matter?
Yeah, like my construction client, they really liked that I was on that post production side and really give his marketing that step up. Like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He knows his frame rates and all that stuff. So he was very excited about that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely helped the learning curve. And I hear it from a lot of people, like how they're shooting it. Do you use filters? Do you not? All that.
Hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. I was going to say, if you got a background like that, I would be like flaunting that big time. You know what I mean? Because,
Right.
yeah, I think people, for them, it's like normal, like, oh, well, I've always done that, or it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Where, if you're going to be hiring someone and that person, or, if you have a background in either that industry, or let's say some people are like, oh, I've heard of them they've worked in construction forever, and then they go try to get construction clients, and they don't really like talk about it that much. I'm like, listen, you got a really good background. I would like talk it
Right.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Because
definitely part of, like, it's not like I give my resume out to the real
sure.
estate or the construction clients, but it's part of my resume. I do talk a bit,
Yeah.
it is on my LinkedIn,
Yeah.
that I have a lot of followers on LinkedIn, and maybe we'll get to this later on, but that's how I got a client, is through LinkedIn. And so it's like, I think, just having that, on Facebook and LinkedIn, showing my background, not just drone stuff, but post-production.
Yeah. So I don't want to jump too far ahead. I feel like I was jumping. So let's go back to, all right. So you have this, background with Sony and Warner Brothers and all these companies, 2018 hits with some layoffs. Sound like you had like a little cushion to get going. When you made the decision, hey, I'm going to try to make my own money, be my own boss. Like what was the first thing you did? Because I feel like that's always, people are willing to work hard, but they don't always know, hey, what's the best use of my time, and like what do I do next?
Right. Yeah. So, right after that, it was like January of 19. I saw these ads on Facebook for Drone Command,
Hmm.
and I don't know, maybe it's a competitor to Drone to 1K, but it definitely got my foot in the door of how to start it, how to start
Hmm.
the business. Just giving me those little tips and tricks. I think doing both of them now, Drone to 1K is much more. It talks about setting up your LLC and setting up your website, where that was just like, make a website, you know,
Gotcha.
it was just very general directions, where this is very hands-on and teaching you how to do these things. So
Yeah.
that's how I jumped in, is through Drone Command Live.
Gotcha.
Um,
So basically, you had a course to kind of like get you going and kind of get started. And
yeah.
then, how did you land your first client? Like, how did that process go? Where'd you find him, and how'd that work out?
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of jobs on Droners.io,
Hmm.
and um, I've done a couple things through Bark, but that's where I found a few of my clients that I still work with every day now. So,
Yeah.
um, I did a couple jobs for They're called Video MS,
Hmm.
Videums.com. They are a big commercial real estate, and I do all their drone flights here in Southern California. So,
Awesome.
and I've got them through Droners IO. I did a first job through them, and then it's become a relationship outside of Droners IO.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, I think that's a good use of these drone job platforms, and something I've kind of like preached in the past. Is like I wouldn't rely on those for all of your ongoing thing, but I think if you're starting out, especially, it's a great place to at least find people to maybe
Yep.
build long-term relationships. And I know not all the platforms allow you to have direct access to the client, but
Right.
some like Bark and Droners, they
Right.
do, and I think that's good. So
And yeah, they do stay that where, but it's just building that relationship.
right.
Um, you complete that job and you close out that job through those systems.
Hmm.
And then, because I delivered directly to those companies, they reached back out to me.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like that happens probably pretty often where like if you do continue to work with someone through that platform, eventually they might just like do business with you kind of directly.
I was going to say is I used to use it as like my main um, place to look for jobs. But now that I have my handful of clients that I get, that I'm busy with, I just use it as fillers. So if I see a job pop up on one of those that's on a Tuesday that I don't have anything, I'll still take it. So I still look at it, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I rely on.
Yeah. 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 Cool. Um, I want to touch a little bit too. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I want to eventually get to your LinkedIn stuff because I think that's cool. Because I haven't heard a lot of people. You hear a lot of people on here that say, "Oh, I was posted on Instagram a lot and ended up getting some exposure and some clients, or they maybe had an existing network." But I'm curious, and the LinkedIn stuff. When did that kind of come into play? Like, when did you start? Or first off, what did you do on there to get clients, and when did that happen? Kind of in the timeline.
Yeah, so this is kind of going back to my Sony picture side. So I have over 10,000 followers on my LinkedIn account.
Wow.
So I think my visibility and my ranking on that. So when I updated all my information from that job to owner of JMG Aerial Imagery, um, and FAA approved drone pilot, those keywords in there that maybe people will search for. Um, but that's how um, my major client right now is a construction company here in Hollywood, and they do a lot of high end, multi-million-dollar jobs. That this company reached out to me just looking for a pilot because they're getting more and more houses from this company and other um, construction companies in the LA area, and so they just reached out to me looking for me to fly these 3 houses bi-weekly. So twice a month, I'd go out the first and third Saturdays of the month and fly these 3 houses. Well, that company dissolved and they both moved back east. And so they asked me if I wanted to take this client over. I'm like, for sure, I love it. It turned from 3 houses. I'm doing 7 currently for that company. So it was just somebody reaching out to me because I was an insured FAA drone pilot on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. So real quick, how did you end up amassing 10,000 followers on LinkedIn? Were you like putting stuff up there, or is it just the fact that you existed there and people found
No,
it?
just post production. So a lot of people like editors and sound mixers and script writers, they would all want to become friends. I think to get that foot in the door at Sony.
Oh, okay.
So I still have all those followers,
Uh-huh.
and then um, early on I just started going and I would type in real estate agent or commercial real estate and just look for more and more clients through. I'd send a little message, hey, I'm a approved drone pilot. I'd love to have your business, just reaching out to them through LinkedIn. And so I got a
Yeah.
lot more followers from that in the last
Gotcha.
year and a half.
Cool. So you weren't like, oh, I was writing a blog article for LinkedIn every week and publishing this and that. It was just the fact that you worked at Sony and then you were kind of reaching out to other people as well.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's definitely awesome to have that background. But I don't want people on here to think, oh, well, I never worked at Sony, so I can't, do XYZ. I mean, I'm sure it certainly helps you, but you worked pretty hard, on your own as well to get, where you are, and other people
Yeah,
don't have.
definitely. From the LinkedIn side and that the background side. I think it's just that one construction client that I do stuff for, every week now.
Yeah.
And it's not it helped, but it wasn't. I think if I was still the FAA approved drone pilot, if I had my 107 and I was insured, I think I would have still gotten that job.
Yeah. Cool. Um, Well, I think it's just a interesting thing to show you too. Like, you never know where things are going to come from. It's always interesting to see, like, looking back, the connections that led to certain opportunities. Right? So
Yeah.
this one company happened to reach out to you on LinkedIn, and then they ended up kind of going away, and then you took over this client, and now it's like a really nice source of recurring revenue for you.
Right.
And it
Yep.
just all started from this one thing. So I think people,
Yeah.
it's cool to look back on that stuff.
Yep. Definitely.
Um, One thing I wanted to ask, so with this client, I think you had mentioned to me at some point before that now they have you on more like a retainer type of agreement. Is that right?
Yep. So they pay a monthly fee now. I just invoice them once a month, the first of each month, and so yeah, right. Currently 7 houses, and if I need more, like if they'll call me if like a crane's coming in and they want to get crane shots, or if they're pouring a huge concrete slab, or they're bringing in steel or something, we'll get those daily shots. But 2 houses I go every Monday morning. Um, and then the other 5 houses I go every other Monday, or every Monday and Tuesday. I can mix it up. It doesn't have to be on Mondays. It's just whenever my schedule's open. But then there'll be those times where they'll call and say, so before they put up drywall and insulation and everything, they have me go on and do a Matterport 3D shoot, so they know where every single wire is in the walls.
Well, that's cool.
And then so they use that. So after they put everything up and they're like, oh, where was that air conditioning duct? They can go back and find it.
Yeah, that's cool.
With the measurement tool out of Matterport. So it's been
Nice.
so
So
they'll pay me extra for those types of things. So if I have so if they ever say, hey, if you feel like you're going over hours, and I keep my hours of what I do for them, and I submit videos to them each week, and they'll post stuff on Instagram and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. So you have kind of an ongoing agreement for like a fixed amount of work. And then if you kind of go beyond that, or if they want extra stuff, they'll pay you on top of that.
yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So I'm sure that's nice having that consistency. Were you getting paid kind of like by the shoot before, and then you ended up saying like, hey, we can just move to a monthly thing, or how did that even come about? Because
Yeah.
I've
So
got some
when I
questions
was
on that
just
when people are saying, how do you structure something like that?
right before, when I was doing just those 3 houses, then it turned to 4, and then it turned to 5, I would invoice them basically when I would deliver. So I would go and shoot on those Saturday mornings. I would I shoot everything in bracketing. So I would create all the HDR photos, post them on the Dropbox, and deliver them the link. So they just got photos, and then we run the exact same video around the property each week. So at the end of the project, of in 1 or 2 and 3 years, it'll be a time lapse basically of the entire process of the construction. Um, so every time I uploaded to them, I would send them an invoice.
Mm-hmm.
And before that was like like $100 a project. So like I'd invoice them for $300 for those 3 jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and then it turned into um, add more houses. And then especially when I started working directly with them, when I took it over from that company that found me on LinkedIn, then we started talking, and he was excited. I was giving him more stuff. I was editing videos for them, and they're like, hey, we'd love to bring you on as basically on a retainer, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars a month. So it's been great.
Nice. So they kind of proposed it after you had just been increasingly doing work for them.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. And then is there like, so for the structure of that, is there like a specific, hey, I know you said like, oh, and if I feel like I'm going over my hours, is it just kind of like you measure it kind of thing? Or is it like a specific, like with this retainer, you get X number of houses and X number of work? Is it like super detailed, or is it just kind
Well, yeah.
of?
So we just added a 7th house. So we upped over the overall, but it's those big things like once a house is finished, I'll go out and do a finished video for him, video walkthrough, and then that'll be extra.
Gotcha.
So on the retainer side, it's the photos and the video each week of each house, and then if there's a big thing, a big event happening, like a crane coming in and bringing in
Yeah.
air conditioning units and stuff like that, then it'll be on top of that. Then
Gotcha.
I'll charge them that extra hour or two.
Gotcha. And so and you were saying these are like multi-year projects, a lot of them, right? So when you say we added an extra house, that's like weekly work for multiple years.
Yep. So I haven't seen a house from beginning to end yet, and it's been a year and a
Oh
half.
wow. These are like
Yeah.
really big projects.
Yeah, they're Hollywood Hills, multi-million. I don't even know what the budgets are. They're enormous, but yeah, it's gorgeous. Hand craftsmanship. It's amazing.
What's so far, what's the coolest project that you've seen them work on that you've like enjoyed getting video and photographs of?
Um, Two of them are on Riviera Country Club. So
Okay.
just walking out on the infinity pool that's basically looking over the entire Riviera golf course that a PGA event's on.
Mm.
That's amazing. Like just the views. One's on the beach in Malibu. The waves crashing 10 feet from the house. Um, but there was one that I worked on. It was kind of through that company. It was more for an architect that I got from that construction company. um, there was a house that has a retractable roof that I flew the drone down into the house and out of the house to the retractable roof. It was
That's
it
awesome.
was amazing. Yeah,
That's awesome. How does the
yeah.
retractable roof even work?
I actually I'm working on an edit right now that he's gonna let me post, so you'll see it hopefully pretty soon here. I mean, maybe by uh, when this releases, I'll have it ready to uh, show. But it's about a 20-foot square
Hmm.
hole. The room itself is like a kind of like a party room,
Hmm.
dance, hardwood floor, rounded ceilings, and then there's a lighting system in the rounded ceilings. So when you open up the retractable roof, there's a camera that looks outside, and it'll match the color of the outside sky to match the roof. So it looks like the entire roof is gone. So it's a probably a 50, maybe a 60-foot by 60-foot square room with these big rounded wall ceilings.
Hmm.
But then when the hole opens up, the wall matches it. So it
Like the
doesn't. It looks
color of the
like the
ceiling changes?
entire. It looks like the entire roof is missing, where there's actually only a
That's
20-foot
trippy.
hole.
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
you got
it's
to
amazing.
fly your drone. Did you fly from the inside out or the outside in?
Both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh man,
had access to the house for about 7 hours, so I was just playing around, having fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, you'll have that video. We'll try to link it up here.
yeah, definitely.
Um, but very cool. So of the construction for that construction client, what percentage of your work would you say that makes up? Is that like the majority of your work, or is it kind of half, or what would you say
It's
is?
probably 25%.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
good. It's not like super concentrated on that one client.
No, definitely not. Like I said, it's probably a couple days a week
Hmm.
at the most right now for them. Like I go every Monday just because I have on two of those projects, I have time lapse cameras set up
Hmm.
that I go just swap out memory cards and a battery once in a while. Um, so I go out every Monday. And then those projects are a little bit shorter. The house is gorgeous. They're just replacing the swimming pool. Um, So that's a probably only about a year maybe project. So we just started December, um, and so that's a little bit quicker timeline where I go out every week instead of every other week, just because it's a
Gotcha.
shorter timeline.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, because there's a lot of people who are interested in doing work for either construction companies, more like commercial construction, I guess, and residential construction. Now, it sounds like you kind of had the luxury of, falling into it a little bit, where it's like someone reached out to you, you started doing the work, and you already had a client who wanted that work. But from your perspective, in working with that client for the last whatever year or more, um, what are the benefits to the companies that you like? Let's say I'm a fresh drone pilot, or like a production company, and I want to pitch similar clients. I want to get clients like that, and I go and talk to them. Like, what do I tell them as to, hey, here's why you should hire me? Here's like why other people use drone pilots and, and get this service, like selling them on it? Like, walk me through how you would sell a new client on something like this.
Yeah, so I think it's all about showing the stakeholders the progress of that job.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of these, especially commercial jobs, it's not just one person. It's not just the owner of the home or the owner of the company. It's multiple, you know, investors that they want to show. They're asking them for millions of dollars to build this facility, and they need to show their progress. And we could say it's daily progress or weekly progress or monthly progress to those stakeholders.
Hmm.
So it's putting the stakeholders at mind at ease that the money is being spent correctly.
Hmm. So is that kind of the biggest selling point you would say that you've found from these companies that they like about it?
Yeah, I think and it that and marketing side. So they've come to me. Jason's come to me a few times and said, "Hey, I'm bidding on a new job. Can you make me this video real fast? Give me a couple, like,
Hmm.
take shots of the concrete pour and Napoli, and take the crane stuff, and just make a quick marketing reel for them
Gotcha.
to get their next client."
So it helps them pitch people too. So it's almost helping
Yep,
them with
and
their
that's what
portfolio.
Jason uses it more for,
Hmm.
because when you go to his webpage, it's just his company name. He's very private, and like I've told you in the past, there's a couple houses I've signed NDAs on, non-disclosure agreements, so I can't even show most of my stuff. I can't even show because it's very private, and
Because he's doing work for like celebrities and stuff, right?
probably, yeah, like half the jobs I don't even know. There's a couple jobs I do know, but it's yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So so that's kind of, so if I'm a new drone pilot, right, or I'm starting this business and I'm talking to people now, obviously there's some people that are going to just get it off the bat, right, and they're going to go, oh yeah, I can see that. And there's probably going to be some people that are old school, or they just don't care, right, and they're probably not even going to entertain it. But I think knowing, hey, here's why someone would want to hire you, and how you can kind of talk about that and pitch it and just say, hey, this other company, they use this information, or they use these videos and marketing stuff to show off their work to future clients or prospective clients, to kind of
Right.
show them what they can do and the kind of stuff they can build. And then I think the stakeholders thing is really important too.
Yeah.
It's funny, this building that we're sitting in now, like my office, it's a co-working space,
Mm.
but it was like, I think this was like a $12 million building. And same thing, right? They had a bunch of donors that gave to get this building done. And same thing, they wanted to show them, hey, what's the progress? How's it
Yeah.
going? And they hired video crews to do the same thing, get kind of monthly progress updates, so that they could go back to the people who gave all this money and
Right.
say, hey, look, here's what we're doing. And, we're making progress with it. So,
Yeah, and I've heard a couple times too where he said that he's gone back to my images because um, ever since I started, because since I go out to the job sites once a week or once every other week, I also grab my DSLR and take still photography,
mhm.
and they've gone back and used it for some sort of lawsuit. Like somebody complained that they didn't install that piece of equipment that's behind that you can't see anymore, and he's
Mhm.
used photos to back up his promise that whatever they promised that they would install, or I don't know exactly what it was, but it's helped them um, prove to them that they did do that back in October of 19.
Yeah. So having that documentation for legal cases or any
Yep.
type of disputes that come up.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good too. Um, awesome. Well, I wanted to ask you about your other stuff too. So that's cool on the construction side,
Yep.
and all that. Well, talk about, what are the other 75% of the clients that you have? What do you do there?
Right. So like this afternoon, I have two shoots this afternoon for Cushman Wakefield. I
Oh,
do
nice.
them.
They're huge.
Yeah. So it's a big, it's a huge commercial real estate company out here. I think they're all over the
Yeah,
country.
they're nationwide.
Um, but they have me do just photos. These two agents, actually, Allie and Brandon, they have me do photos, just aerial photos that they use for marketing. So I do about probably 4 jobs a month for them.
Cool.
And we do so for $200, they get um, about 20 to 30 drone images only. So it's basically a single battery, I'm at the job site. Sometimes 2 batteries, depending on how much of a piece of property it is.
Sure.
But yeah, $200 for about 20 to 30 photos.
Nice. And how long does that take you to do?
So I have two today. I have one at 11 and one at 1. So, maybe an hour at each site, maybe.
Yeah. Cool.
And then, yeah, so I shoot HDR. So I shoot three photo bracketing on those. And then, maybe, half-hour processing time when I get home.
Nice. Now, how did you, I was asked further, I'm like, how did you find that person and get that job to be
Yeah,
doing?
that was through, was it through Instagram or was it was either Instagram or Droners.io. So another client I have is Kathy and Robin. They're here in Redondo Beach. They're from Compass. Um, I do all their social media posting videos. So they'll go out to local business owners. And they really have this community vibe. And they, we went to a restaurant and they talked about how COVID's affected their restaurant in Redondo Beach and, come out and visit them. So they're very community focused. And then another one, we went to a clothing store. So I do all these little interviews for them to post on their social media accounts, on their Facebook page, on their Instagram. So
Cool.
that's really good. I charge them $95 an hour.
Nice.
So yeah, so about twice a month or so, we'll probably spend 4 hours together. So that's another. It's been consistent for the last 3 or 4 months, so it's been
Nice.
really
That's
good.
awesome. And then for them, did you go to them and pitch them and say, hey, I want to do these, like you can do these types of videos, or were they already thinking of it and found you?
Oh, actually, for them, I I shot a house here in Redondo Beach, just a real estate job that the owners of the house actually Laura used to babysit me. So they saw that I did this on Facebook. They always saw my videos and stuff. So they went to their real estate agent and says, "Hey, I want you to use James Grace for all our videos and photos."
Mm-hmm.
And then the client that bought Laura's house is Kathy and Robin's client. So I met them because they bought the house that I did all the photos for.
Gotcha.
And then they asked me, "Hey, do you also do video stuff?" And so yeah, I found them through another real estate agent. So
Gotcha. Cool. Again, it's kind of like the spider web of opportunity where it's like this led to this, which this person knew this person and it led to this, so,
yeah,
but I
and like
think,
I've been focusing a lot on Instagram posts.
mm-hmm,
So the last like 3 weeks, I've tried posting every day.
mm-hmm,
Like if I'm out. So um, another client I've done is Matt from Open Road. Well, they're a, a real estate agent that he buys empty land
mm-hmm,
like in the middle of Apple Valley and Temecula, where there's two other houses. It's great. So that client's really good because he'll save up like 4 houses. It's like a 2 hour drive for me.
mm-hmm.
So he'll save up like 4 or 5 pieces of property and send me out on a single day. So he sends me out twice a month, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I shoot, 4 properties in Apple Valley or Lucerne Valley or Temecula. And that's images and video for him to use for marketing. The main thing, well, not the main thing, but the first thing he uses it for is due diligence. He's up in San Francisco. He So he sends me out to make sure there's no squatters, that no one's dumped a bunch of trash on the land,
Mm-hmm.
that it's easy to access because a lot of times it's just a dirt road, you know, a mile down a dirt road from the main highway or whatever. So those are really good. That's another client that I do a couple
Yeah.
times a month for.
Nice. And you were saying something about Instagram where you're trying to get better about posting on Instagram.
Oh yeah. So I try to post every day. So I've gotten a lot more followers in the last 3 or 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
where I get like 2 or 3 followers a day. And then I've also people reached out to me and said, "Hey, I love your photos. I'll let you know if I ever need anything." So it's been really exciting just to, you know, use an Instagram as that tool just to show your work for them to say, "Hey, I love what you're doing."
Yeah. I think people can really underestimate Instagram too, because we've had some people on the podcast, even and people that are in the Drone to 1K course that have shared like, "Hey, listen, I'm just active on Instagram, just going out, taking pictures, put them up, and then you just keep putting stuff out there." And like he's like, I keep having people, finding me, or there's uh, Kevin, I think you know him too, the Maryland drone guy. He was on the podcast recently, but he was saying that, and really, it just comes down to being consistent.
Yeah, I think
And
that's why I started it, because I remember hearing it from a podcast. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, it's definitely, the more you put out, the more that will come in.
yep, yep, I love
You
it.
know,
It's so,
if you
so
don't
true.
show anything, people don't know what you do.
Right.
Um, you know, with Google, they search for you, but unless they click on it and actually go to your page and look at that, but everyone's on Instagram. Um, always looking, and then yeah, so there's a hashtag app. So like I'll type in whatever I'm posting, I type in, real estate, and they'll give me the top 30 hashtags that people are searching for.
Nice.
And I always add that to my Instagram post.
That's smart. Cool. What's the name of the app? Unless you want to keep it a
Um,
secret.
it's just pink with a big hashtag. Let's see if there's a name on it.
It's pink and it has a hashtag. Yeah.
Hashtag expert
It's
is the
called
app.
hashtag. It's called
Yeah,
hashtag
hashtag
expert.
expert, EXPERT.
Okay, cool.
And so you type in a term there, and it'll give you the top. And a lot of times they'll say like, one of the top ones might be, you know, uh, drone photography Florida, and
Hmm.
obviously I don't want to do that because I'm in California, so I just change those ones, But it
Yeah,
gives you the top, listings. So a lot of times there'll be a different state or a different city, and
you
so
just
I'll
change it.
just change those to Los Angeles or Orange County.
Nice. Now, is that a smartphone app or what is that?
Yep, it's on iOS,
Cool, cool.
on my iPhone. Yeah, I have it
Nice.
for my iPad and for my iPhone. So
Cool. That's smart. I like it. Um, cool, man. Well, we're getting a little bit close to time, so I don't want to keep you forever, but I really appreciate you coming on here, sharing about all your experience and how you, kind of did a career pivot and,
yeah,
built up some clients and have just stayed at it and are making a full-time living from it. It's really cool to see what you've done and how you built it up. So appreciate you coming on. Before we go though, I always like to do, if you were giving advice to a new drone pilot or entrepreneur that they're just like, hey, I'm starting this. I'm not exactly sure what to do first, or I just need some advice to get started. What would you tell them?
yeah, definitely. Because I've been flying for years, I think the main thing is making sure, being confident of your pilot skills,
Mm-hmm.
and then your photography skills or video skills. It's all about, because um, what your resume is what you put out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't put out great work, good work, um, people aren't going to want to hire you. So it's all about, your confident level. When I go out to a job now, it's second nature to me. The flying, you know, uh, angles. Go out and practice, go out and fly, and then show people your work. People aren't going to find you. You have to go find people. And I don't mean knocking on doors. I mean just getting images and videos out there on social media, and they'll come find you.
Yeah, cool. Love it. And then if people want to find out more about you or follow you or anything, what's the best place for them to do that?
You can find me on Instagram on JMG_Ariel_Imagery, or my webpage, www.jmgariel.com.
Cool. All right. Thanks, James. Well, we'll link that up in the description, show notes. So either on our website or YouTube or wherever the show notes are going to be, we'll put it there. So thanks again for coming on, and really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. And the course has been great. Like I'm looking at it all the time. A lot of stuff I've already done, but it's just great refresher, and it's great reference point, when everyone's starting out the new job on everything, LLCs and building your
Are
websites.
you,
And
you talking about the Drone to 1K course?
yep, drone to 1K course. Yeah, it's been
Nice.
great.
Yeah.
And the main reason I signed up was for the SEO side of it. Is
Mm-hmm.
just going out and getting those clients in social media, and Google Ads and stuff like that. I haven't started. I'm all set up on my Google Ads side. I haven't hit the go button, because I don't have a low point right now. I'm booked out for the next couple of weeks, so I don't want to hit
Hey, that's a
yes
good.
where I couldn't
That's
take
a
more
good.
jobs.
That's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it's been awesome. I would have never been able to set it up without it. So,
Awesome. No, that's good to hear. I
or set
appreciate
it
that.
up and Google would have taken a lot of my money.
And that does happen. That does happen. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that. No, it's good to hear that you're having a good experience in there. And if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, oh, hey, I want to, get in that Drone to 1K course, just check out, we haven't, I don't think it's open for other enrollment right now, at least while we're recording this. But if you're listening to this podcast, it may be, so just go check out our website and you can go to courses. And it should be there, or get in our email list, and occasionally we'll run some deals and stuff. So, but yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I've enjoyed getting to know you through the course and stuff too, and seeing you build your business.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely. Thanks a
All
lot.
right.
Thanks for everything, David.
Yeah. Thanks, James. See you, man. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that episode with James Grace of JMG Aerial Productions. Like I said, James was in our still is in our Drone to 1K course, or the Drone Business Mastery Program. And that's how I've gotten to know him, and I thought he'd make a good podcast guest to share his story with you. So I hope you enjoyed hearing that and got some good info out of that if you're trying to follow a similar path. I know every time we have a show or a guest on the show, they bring new perspectives, new ideas, maybe new ways to get clients. So I hope that has been helpful for you to hear, and maybe generate some ideas, and at least maybe inspired you to be like, hey, if James can do it, I can do it too. So I hope that's helpful. Again, really appreciate you all for tuning into these episodes, listening or watching. One thing I wanted to mention, we do our 2 truths and a lie game. So if you see a link at the bottom of our YouTube video or in the email that the podcast came in, you click on it, just answer one question about the podcast episode. It's just like a quick factoid, and then you can pick a prize. We pull prize winners once a week. So that could be, so we give away t-shirts, mugs, hats, and free courses. So let us know which one you want of those, and we'll pick, I think, 4 prize winners every week. So you have a pretty good chance of winning if you do that, because this is only for our most dedicated podcast listeners who are going to take the time to listen to the whole thing and click through that within the first week that the episode is out. So if you're listening now, it means you have a pretty good chance of getting something. All right, so do that. Click the link, email, or YouTube video. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to that if you'd like to get some updates. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everyone.